Good evening, everyone, members of council. Mayor Basil will be along in just a few moments. We would like to begin the meeting this evening, and it's a public meeting number 1, special council meeting. Welcome to everybody in the gallery, and we will turn it over to our planning board chair, Councillor Brian McFeely.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We will proceed with the discretionary use application for 641 Wilmot Lane. We certainly welcome folks, and I guess just a prelude to getting into the background here to encourage folks that this is your opportunity, this is the opportunity for public input. So we would encourage you, don't be shy and take full advantage of the opportunity, because this is our opportunity to hear from both the developer and from residents. So with that, I'll move into the background. An application was received from Doug Crosman for 641 Wilmot Lane, PID number 113-39757. This application requires council approval to allow a townhouse up to 4 units as a discretionary use in a medium-density residential R3 zone. The applicant is proposing to build a townhouse 4 units on the property that is currently a vacant building lot, and the subject property is shown there on the map. And there's a site plan attached to that, and I might ask Director Aaron just maybe to walk through that, because I know when I reviewed this morning, I found it a little bit confusing to pick up exactly what was happening there. So.
Okay, right now I'll just zoom it back a little bit. This is just past the last house of Wilmot Lane. It comes into a current dead end. The asphalt does not go quite to the end of the existing lot. The shaded area here is where the asphalted road would have to be built to extend, I'll say, further into Wilmot Lane. What's in the red boxes on the side is a 4-unit building that the proponent would subdivide into 4 individual units that each would have their own services and driveway, such that they could be subdivided off if they so choose. So it's a 4. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Aaron. So a medium-density residential R3 zone. The purpose of this zone is to provide for medium-density housing in the form of single-family, semi-detached, duplex dwellings, and other compatible uses. Permitted uses, subject to the bylaw requirements. The R-zone permitted uses include single-family dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, duplex dwellings, accessory buildings, assisted living, manufactured homes, and that would be mobile homes lawfully existing prior to 1999. Discretionary uses, subject to council approval. The R3 zone discretionary uses include child care facility medium, group home, townhouse 8 units per building maximum, rooming house, boarding house, nursing care facility, row house 8 units per building maximum, social service agency, tourism establishment, and that also requires a conditional use permit, and a 4-unit apartment building maximum. Conditional use is subject to a permit. The R3 zone conditional uses include home-based business, secondary suite, tourism establishment, B&B, and vacation rental property. Townhouse means a building that is divided into 3 or 4 vertically adjacent dwelling units, separated by a vertical concrete or masonry firewall, with each unit being constructed directly on grade. Townhouses require individual public utilities and street frontage for each dwelling unit, and can be further subdivided as per section 8.15 of the bylaw. With that, we move into the point in the meeting where we would invite the applicant, Mr. Doug Crosman, for comments if he so desired. Mr. Crosman, the mic is yours. We'll ask if you come to the mic to please state your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Doug Crossman. My address is 29 Lawrence Road in Nova Scotia. I want to thank you all for taking your time to listen to, I guess, this application. Basically, I didn't come over here to develop land. I came over here to build a house or buy a house for my niece, who, based upon the present market, can't afford a place. You know, the house is so expensive now, as we know, right? Real estate's gone up so much. So I'm working to try to find an affordable option, some affordable housing that's going to be safe, that's going to be, you know, fit into the environment, the community, and basically, you know, these are going to have fairly small footprints because I'd like to think that they're going to be affordable homes. It's basically 800 to 900 square feet approximately, so they're not going to be very big. They're only going to be 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, right? Very, you know, relatively smaller units, but affordable by some people's standards, especially now, even though I'm sure prices have gone up so much still. I'm hoping by the time, I guess, this gets approved that prices will be down a little bit and we can afford it. In the application too, one thing, you did say under discretionary use, you could put up to 8 units. Now, 8 units would be just crazy in there. Sure, it would just be way too packed. Within the 4 units, I can meet all setbacks, and actually, I exceed all setbacks, even the setbacks for the front of the buildings. It says 6 meters. I'm between 9 to 12 meters. Rear yards, I mean minimum 5 meters. I'm 12 meters. Side yards, 3 meters. I'm 5 meters. You know, even a lot area, where it says lot area, it's like 100 and, I think I went to, yeah, meters, 180 square meters. The smallest lot is 250 square meters. And so with this application too, I mean, anybody that be on Wilmot Lane now, it's a hazard for anybody coming down the road because now you have to either back out all the way to the main road or you have to back in somebody's driveway. So with this proposal, obviously I've got a small turnaround. It's not a full-size turnaround because in order to do that, I wouldn't be able to do anything with the lot to actually put in a full standard turnaround. But it will enable better access. There will be a turnaround at the end of it. And also, I guess I'm facilitating the municipality to actually to install a pole because I will have to probably obtain an easement onto at least 1 property, if not 2 properties back there. And it will provide better access for the storm, water, and sewer easement that's located there. Plus, actually, it will extend the road to reduce the length of the walkway there that the municipality owns as well, if they ever plan to put the walkway through. And I think that's all I wish to say. Other than thank you for your time, and if there's any questions or anything that
Thank you very much, Mr. Crosman. Councillor Ramsey.
I do have one question. Thank you for coming in and with your presentation. And I wonder if they will be accessible units, say for seniors or maybe wheelchair accessible or, you know, that type of, were you thinking along those lines?
I definitely, wheelchair or accessible units. They're all gonna be bungalows, a single floor. I'm not putting a second floor. Like I say, affordability is a big part of what I wanna do. Because I know even the ones now, like, there's no garages on these. I'm thinking more likely to be less likely that people will have cars, but I'm not sure, you know, there will be adequate parking anyways, but yeah, definitely accessibility.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Your worship, you had a...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sorry, I was a couple of minutes late there, another commitment I just finished. That cul-de-sac, or turnaround, I believe you call it, does that meet our standards, Aaron, or national or provincial standards for that?
We've been working with this gentleman for the past month or so to try and figure out what we can reasonably fit on this property, and it's smaller than we have in our standard, but we figured it was better than what we have now as far as not even access to the end. The property to the left is also vacant. It's not part of this development, so we said if that property to the left develops, we then would try and expand this circle more to the left to make it more standard, more closer to standard. So that was the compromise of what we could fit on the existing situation at the dead end of this existing street.
So this request is to change the zoning or the variance from what to what, again, just so I'm clear?
In the R3 zone, you're allowed to put property is already zoned R3.
Right.
They could put a single family or a semi on it now. The request is to go to a 4-unit. It is allowed to go up to 4 units as a discretionary use through a council process. He's asking to go to a discretionary use of 4 units.
It actually could go up to 8. Yeah.
Sorry. Correct.
Thank you.
Just,
Councillor Ramsey.
and I don't know, to be clear, it could be 2 duplexes, like, right now, there could be without coming through council, he could put 2.
No, one duplex,
One
two
duplex.
2 units, yeah.
2 units, okay, I thought, okay.
On the screen, Councillor McFeely had read off the permitted uses in the R3. Those are the ones that are permitted now as of right, if you wanted to.
Right.
We are now in the discretionary use because, as he mentioned, it could have up to 8, but he's asking for 4.
Okay, great. Just want to be clear. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Your worship.
Just to follow up then, just, were the notifications for the neighbors, the numbers, letters sent out or whatever?
Yes. Aaron, not required.
I don't know the number, but the
Yeah.
application was advertised August 20th. Letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject property. We'll have the actual, in our report, when we prepare back, we'll have the actual number that were sent out.
Yeah, I think I missed that when I was reading. Yeah, it is on the record now, so that's good. Anything else? Justin?
Yeah,
Councillor Durand.
thank you, Councillor McFeely. I guess this question, I think, typically comes up regularly for these types of requests, but just for the clarity, for the public, should this go through and be approved, and let's just say that, you know, plans change or whatever, can the next person come in and automatically put in the 8 units? Or is this kind of a one-time, you know, 4 units or nothing type?
We can clarify for you on our planning board, but I'm pretty sure it would just be what you guys actually pass based on so the discretion would be asking for the 4 units.
Okay, not that, I don't doubt your plans, but I just want to, you know, look into just providing clarity if
Yeah.
this didn't work out, and then, let's just say you sold the land, could the next person automatically come in and it would already be ready for 8 units?
So we'll make sure that that question's recorded and addressed at planning board. Any other questions?
Just one final one, sorry again, but there were no objecting letters came in?
Nothing verbally. We have people here tonight, so.
Yes.
let's see
Okay.
what- Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cosmo.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so now is the time in the meeting where we invite the public for comment. And again, as I said earlier, this is your opportunity, and I know council is very interested in hearing from the public and really want to encourage folks that have something to say, not to be shy, and the floor is yours. Remind you to just state your name and address when you come forth.
My name is Darrell.
If he would ask you to come to the mic, please, and thank you.
My name is Darrell Inman, and I lived in Wilmot Lane for 44 and a half years. And I was just wondering, after that length of time, and why is this all coming about when you already had a development there just up from that field 12 years ago? and it wasn't allowed to come down through there then, why is it coming through now?
I'll have to go back and dig through the records, but I have been here for that time. At the original time, the entire subdivision of above was being proposed to come down through that street. The street was turned into a cul-de-sac, and they said only this one lot would be developable to come on Wilmot. So that would be it was approved as a lot at the time of that 12, if you say it was 12 years ago when the upper part was developed.
Somewhere through.
This lot was approved as a buildable lot at that time as part of that overall, but the entire street was not permitted to come down through Wilmot, only this one lot. We will dig that back for you and find out when that was approved, but this lot was, to my knowledge, approved 12 years ago when the entire this parcel was, I think it's Clow Court that's above you. This parcel here was part of a larger parcel of a development of Clow Court and that's, I'm not sure it's Bay or across from Bay and Murphy.
Bishop's Landing. Bishop.
Yeah, when that entire area or parcel was developed, this parcel was part of that overall development. And as he stated, at the time, one of their options, I think, may have been to bring the whole street down through Wilmot. That was not allowed. They made it into a cul-de-sac, and all of it has to go back out through Bay. But this one parcel was still part of that. It was subdivided off and was approved as a lot. And the water and sewer from that development do come down and through Wilmot, but not all the traffic from Clow Court, just this one lot. But we can verify that.
Thanks,
again.
Aaron, and, yeah, we get verification.
So
of that.
why isn't the same thing done to this one then? Instead of coming down through our lane?
Only this one lot is allowed to go down through your lane. The entire rest of the subdivision went out the other way.
But you still have the traffic coming down through there.
Just,
This
And,
one,
so you
sorry.
have to widen our lane.
Right now, that is an option that we'll have to go back through, and again, we'll comment it, but the right-of-way width we'll have to verify with the survey, but it's only like 18 or 20 feet when we looked at the survey so we have taken from this development a wider, I'll say, right-of-way. Again, we're getting into a lot of details that I'll have to go off my head. We're here to
yeah, this,
We've approached this developer and asked him for a wider right-of-way than currently exists on existing Wilmot. So if the demand is there and the council desires to widen it, we'll at least have the width. And this person is building this newer piece wider. We would then have to approach all the individual property owners out to Water Street to get property off of them in order to widen the street if that's deemed needed.
so just for clarity for folks, tonight is not a night for answers. Tonight is the night to raise the questions and the
okay.
concerns if you have them.
Yep.
We'll talk about the process afterwards, so this will be followed up with a planning board meeting in a couple of weeks' time. And that's the time that we will get the answers to the questions. Staff will do the research and bring back to council the answers to the questions that people raised tonight, so, just so that you understand that
Yep.
process.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Again, this is your opportunity. No problem at all, no problem.
Which thing? My name is Ken Allen. This is my stepdaughter Rachel. And we're at 637 Water Street East, which is right at the corner of Wilmot and Water Street. And our main concern, and it'll probably be brought up later too, is that there's a lot of kids that are on there that play, including my grandkids and great-grandson, or two actually. And we're just wondering what the traffic is gonna be like. going up. And I noticed too that on this one diagram, or at least I don't see where the entrance to that subdivision would be.
Every of these 4 units would have a driveway, individual driveways off of this, I'll say shaded or checkered. The shaded or checkered would be the extension of the street. All 4 units would have their own driveway off of those. The red would be the front of the
This part
dwellings.
here.
The distance between the dwellings and the shaded part was where they would have individual driveways.
Okay, and with this diagram, the start of the checkered part, is that at Water Street or from the existing?
It's where the asphalt ends now, not quite
Okay.
the full extent of the last lot. I'm not sure the person lives there. It used to be June Scott for a number of years ago. Yeah. 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 So the asphalt does not go all the way to the end of that lot, that existing lot now. It will be extended as part of this development.
Okay, and also too, would it be connecting into that existing water line or
The water and sewer and storm already exist. The mains are already come down from Clo Court as well as this here as part of that development. Individual water and sewer services have to be provided off of those mains to each of these individual units by the developer.
is it gonna be enough though to handle this? Because I noticed over the last, well, we've only been there for 4 years, and just about twice a year, they've got the city of Summerside in there working on it.
So that would, the water and sewer situation and the capacity to deal with it would be dealt with at planning board. That's one of the things that staff will address as part of the report to planning board.
Okay.
So they do the traffic
and
thing
it's
as
the
well,
main-
yeah.
Main part there. I know I can't really speak on behalf of this one person, but from Ideal Auto, I've been in contact with him. He's not able to make it here tonight, but his concern is the same, the traffic, and that, and the kids that play in there.
We've already had issues with people flying down the road. The young fellow that lives at your house, by the way, he comes in, lickety-split, and I've asked Mr. McFeely for a crosswalk and a child playing sign. And my other concern is, if we're losing so much of our property to widen out the road, are the homeowners being paid for that? For the loss of the property?
Aaron?
And taxes being
Yeah, because
lowered.
the taxes will go up as well,
No.
then it's considered as more of a subdivision.
The only part that's being proposed for a widening right now or new pavement is what is on this diagram. The question was asked, I think, by the other gentleman saying the explanation, the existing width of right-of-way, the street width or right-of-way of the city right-of-way there is very narrow and would not allow the street to be expanded. If the desire from all is to widen the street, right-of-way width would have to be purchased from individual property owners, and money would have to be allocated by the city to do the work. So as part of this person's development, we made sure their width was wider than the existing, so we wouldn't have to do that if that became.
Because you mentioned, I believe, or Mr. Crossman mentioned about traffic, vehicles going up there and having to back down. Half the time they turn in our driveway, because it's a semicircle. One end is connected on Wilmot and the other's on Water Street, and they just go straight through. So, I think that's it. I'll turn it over to
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. And is any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, could I just ask the question in regards to if that Wilmot Lane is wide enough for traffic to meet?
I just drove up there before the meeting, and it's narrow, but I don't know the measurement there, Aaron. That would be something we would need to address at planning board, I guess.
Brian, quick question. So is Wilmot Lane considered a city street right now? Or what's it considered?
It's city property that the city maintains, plows, and if that's your question. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how come it's not proper width or.
Whenever it was developed, we'll have to dig through the survey. All we could find, again, we'll have to bring a copy for you, is that the existing width is only something like 18 or 20 feet that they left for a street right away. But we'll have to verify that with the
It
survey.
would have been prior to amalgamation years ago.
Yes,
however
this-
long, yeah.
He said, the gentleman said he lived there for 44 years, so it's before that at least, yeah.
Thanks.
Excuse me, it's actually 17 feet, I measured it today.
Thank you. Okay, well, we good. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Winnie Moores, and I live at 636 Wilmot Lane, and myself and my husband have been there for 28 years. And it's a quiet, dead-end street, and most of my questions have been answered. And thank you, Mr. Crossman, for your presentation. It would have been nice to have more information in our letters, for sure. And we just got back from vacation, so we only had a short time to prepare. So my biggest concern is still around the traffic and the street itself. And I know that's not what Mr. Crossman is talking about, and that's not his concern, but it's our concern if the time comes that the traffic requires the street to be widened. And I know that's down the road, but it's a concern for us right now with our properties and how that's gonna change and how it's gonna look. And so that's kind of my concerns, especially if you're thinking about reselling your property. How does that look on your deed? How does it look on your taxes? Are taxes going up, taxes going down, et cetera? So those are my concerns around the street. Mr. Crossman has answered that the housing may not be many vehicles, I guess. So I was kind of concerned that there would be anywhere from 4 to 8 cars, but it sounds like possibly maybe 4. But there is, that's 4 extra cars on our street. And with the street the way it is now, the lane, I can't see it not going to widening, so that's my biggest concern when you're planning the development. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Any other, welcome.
Hi, my name is Janica. I live on, at 637 Wilmot Lane.
And your last name, Jenny?
Resurrection. We bought this house in October of last year, and we love that little lane there because it's very safe for my 3 boys, and they love to run around my property. And my concern is the traffic, because right now we're at the end of the street, and we did not know, at that time we didn't know how long before they would develop that part of the land. We didn't even know if it would be, that it would be this soon. So when I was hearing that it was supposed to be a duplex, and now they're proposing for it to be 2 duplexes, I think that's a lot of traffic. I have concerns about the property line. I just thought that, because I have a line of trees right where the driveway is on the very right side of that lot, and my concern is that what their plan is, if they're gonna ask to have those trees removed or just trim on their side. And also if they're gonna have additional street lights, because right now, the street light is by 636 Wilmot Lane. It's very dark on my end of the road, and so we have lights on the outside of our house. Just to keep it safer, because we've had cyclists come and open our car doors there. Yeah, and one of my concerns was why couldn't they just, you see where the 3 meter wide walkway here? Because I thought they would just connect, that street above onto the buildings, onto the property down here. I just wanna know more about that. I think that's it. That's all for my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and I know staff are recording the questions there, and those will be addressed at planning board, so.
Mr. Chairman, could I just get something clarified?
You certainly may, or,
No, just, without even coming to us, I guess it's suitable for a duplex. And a duplex could have 2 cars in each one, which would be 4. And this one here with 4 houses could end up with 1 car each, with the same number of cars. So without even coming to us, they could still have 4 cars. You know, a lot of duplexes have, just have 2 cars. So.
yeah, good point. Okay, if there's no other comments, I'm not seeing any lights from council and not seeing anybody else standing up. We'll, yep, Councillor Snow.
I'm wondering, and maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, but maybe should we be looking at what it would cost possibly to widen that road? It seems that it's a concern that keeps being brought up is the width of the road, and if it's not wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass safely, I think as a municipality
We could ask staff to
bring that back.
speak to that
Yeah,
as part of the report that the council, and obviously a budgetary item, so would probably have to be dealt with at a future
Just
budget
nice to know
time.
what we're looking at.
Yeah.
is-
Yep.
moving forward.
I think that was done on the Glover Shore Road probably 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Had to be widened a bit.
Well, okay, we'll go through the process here so people clearly understand the process then. In order to process a discretionary use, the following steps are required. The discretionary use is read at a public meeting, and that's what's taking place this evening, so that's the first step. Step 2, the planning board reviews the application and prepares a recommendation to council, so that the staff will prepare a report as a result of tonight's meeting and present that to planning board. And that will take place at noon hour on Thursday, September 14th. Sorry, it's Wednesday, September 14th, excuse me. Wednesday, September 14th at noon. Then 3, so planning board will make a recommendation to council. All of the planning board, I guess I should explain, it consists of myself as chair, Councillor Ramsey, Councillor Adams, and the mayor. We welcome all of council to planning board and certainly welcome their input and questions there as well. But it'll be all of council that will vote on the final decision, and that will be read to be adopted by council. And it'll either be carried or defeated by council. And that will take place on Monday, September 19th at our regular September meeting. Please note that in accordance with section 5.20, the city zoning bylaw, any person who is dissatisfied with the decision of council in respect to the administration of this bylaw may appeal council's decision within 21 days to the Island Regulatory and Appeals Commission, IRAC. And your worship, that concludes the first public meeting.
Thank you very much. So we'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll move into
Public meeting number 2.
We'll move into meeting number 2 then. And thank you, folks that came and presented your views and asked the questions. We appreciate that very much on the first item. So thank you, and thank you to Mr. Crosman for your.
You're welcome to stay for the second meeting too, if you want.
It's so exciting. Public meeting number 2, 356 Maple Avenue, discretionary use. Background, an application was received from 102801 PEI Inc., care of James Profit, for 356 Maple Avenue, PID number 308353. This application will require City Council's approval to allow an apartment building, 3 units, as a discretionary use in a medium-density residential R3 zone. The applicant is proposing to convert the existing single-family dwelling with an accessory suite to an apartment building to consist of 3 units, and the subject property is shown on the map on Maple Avenue. The application was advertised in the August 20th edition of The Guardian, and letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject properties. So a medium-density residential R3 zone, the purpose of this zone is to provide for medium-density housing in the form of single-family, semi-detached, duplex dwelling, and other compatible uses. Permitted uses subject to this bylaw in the R3 zone include single-family dwelling, semi-detached dwelling, duplex dwelling, accessory building, assisted living, and manufactured homes, mobile homes lawfully existing prior to 1999. Discretionary use subject to council approval, and that's what we're dealing with tonight. R3 zone discretionary use includes child care facilities, medium, a group home, townhouse, 8 units per building maximum, a rooming house, boarding house, nursing care facility, row house, 8 units per building maximum, social service agency, tourism establishment that also requires conditional use permit, and a apartment, 4 units max. Conditional usage subject to a permit include home-based business, secondary suite, tourism establishment, a B&B or vacation rental property. Apartment building means a building containing more than 2 dwelling units except a row house and townhouse as defined in this bylaw. So with that, we move into the point in the meeting where we would invite the applicant to make any comments if they wish, and welcome James.
Good evening, I'm James Prophet. Thank you for having me here tonight. So this property was originally built, the house was built by my grandparents back in the 50s, and then they added a portion on in the 60s. So they had a large family of 9 children, so it has lots of bedrooms on the inside. And in fact, in the 70s, it was kind of developed in 2 portions. So there was the original house, and then there was a portion put on the back in the 60s. And with that, there was a basement that in the 60s was unfinished, and then in the 70s, when my parents were having children, they developed into a kind of attached accessory suite. It actually has a separate entrance to the exterior of the building, my parents lived there with my 2 oldest sisters and raised them there, and then after that it wasn't used. It was just whenever family came from away, they stayed there, or stayed in the rest of the house as well. So unfortunately, my grandfather passed away in 2001. My grandmother passed away in November, and the family opened it up to the family to purchase. And I didn't want to see it go to anybody else, so I decided to purchase it along with my sister and our spouses. My spouse Kate is here with me. So our intention is for the property to be 3 units. There's, the lot meets all kind of requirements for a 3 unit. It's simply a discretionary use approval rather than 2 units, which is permitted, allowing it to 3 units. We are in the process of rewiring the entire house and bringing all that up to code, because it was prior it was had no grounds and whatnot. We've been working with Mike Straw in the city to do all those renovations and to bring it up to code, and to ensure that everything's safe for any tenants. That's pretty much it. Anything else?
Thank you, James, very much. Any questions of James? You Ron and Donna's?
I always
Yes,
have a question.
yeah. Know them well.
Yeah. And me too, James. I know your family really well, and just so pleased that you're doing that with the home. And I knew your grandfather built the home, and so it already has 2 levels now. So your basement apartment plus your main, and then you're just planning on putting a 1, 2, 3. Is that it? Is that how you're going?
It's currently a basement and then the remainder of the
Main,
house. There's the back portion that was added on, creates kind of a perfect 1-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
And where we're in a housing crisis, having more units, the better.
Right.
So it would be a back unit, it has an external entrance. And then it would be a 4-bedroom house.
Wow.
With two external entrances to it, and then the basement apartment with an external entrance as well.
Wow. Okay.
Super.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
I was in that house when your parents lived there.
Oh, yeah.
In the apartment when your parents lived there. Any other questions? Councillor?
Thanks, Councillor McFeely. Not so much a question, just a comment. It's always nice when something like this comes forward, this type of application for a transformation like this in a sort of a dense area, and not to have evidently no opposition. So it's nice that we're able to hopefully facilitate this addition of housing in the city, and not have opposition to it. So good luck to you, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I've been able to speak with many of the neighbors. I know most of them at this point, so I have known them for a long time. So I've had a lot of conversation with most of them. So I'm not surprised to see them not here.
Deputy Mayor.
Well, thank you for your application. And this is more of a comment and an observation too. I know all of your family, your grandmother really well at the time. And it's just really nice to see it stay within the family and continue that generational heritage. So good luck.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, our intention is to keep it within the family, and likely to leave, perhaps leave the basement for family members who come home to stay in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Say hi to Mom and Dad.
I will. Any other questions?
Any other questions, folks? Okay. Now is the time we would invite the public to say whatever they... Don't you dare speak against it.
Brian,
Councillor Snow.
this is in my ward, and I did have a resident reach out just over Messenger and asked, she did have some questions and asked if I would read her. It's just the general questions, it's not necessarily to you, it's probably more so for Aaron, but I'm just going to read her message out because it's probably easy because there's a lot of questions intertwined in it. So it says, hi, I have a few questions regarding the meeting for the rezoning of property 356 Maple Ave. Sarah's Burgoyne is the resident that lives just down the street. Sarah Burgoyne. Regarding the, where was I now? Oh, there we go. On Maple, how many single-family homes are currently switched to apartments? I know down the end of Maple there are a group of apartments onto Jennifer, across Central onto Maple. Is it all single-family homes? I personally am not opposed to this, however, I have a few questions about it. I may not be entitled to have the answers, which I get. This is someone's property, and an owner should have some freedom to do what they want with it, within reason. We do need more rentals in town. No on-street parking question mark. So she's asking, is there going to be ample parking? Do we need any more fire hydrants on the street? Does this set a standard or precedent that if one changes, all homes will be allowed to change in the future? Do we get to see the idea plans prior to the renovation? Not the official plans, just how big? Is it just the existing house, or will they be adding a part onto the house, which you've already answered? Regarding the planning, just 1-bedroom units, or is it 3 units with multiple bedrooms? You already answered that as well. The idea of accessory buildings, what does that mean? How many persons will be allowed to live in each unit? I know I won't be able to attend the meeting, so I forward my questions on to you. There's enough on-street parking and speed on Maple. The traffic is unreal on our street. The speed is very dangerous. I fear someone will get hurt bad as the park is so much busier this year. A lot of families and children bike and walk on Maple to the park. The speed is a big issue, but you are already aware of the traffic and speed. That has nothing to do really with this proposed rezoning unless they park on the side of the road. Please, if you can ask or see if you have any answers to my questions, please just direct these questions As an interested community member, I do not want to discourage people from creating apartments or having an investment, just needs to fit into our community and ensure that this is on a case-by-case basis. I know how desperate our province is for affordable housing, rents. I would not want to be in any way try to stop from getting more housing rentals. Just have these few questions. Thanks, appreciate your hard work. Cheers, and have a good weekend. So I received that last.
So I
Friday.
think it would be appropriate if you could forward that on to Aaron, because there's a number of questions
Yes,
that
that's what I'm gonna
are
do.
related to things that should be
Exactly.
addressed in the planning board brief that council will prepare.
And I think I can clarify a couple of those as well.
Yeah.
We won't be expanding the footprint at all. There's no there's one garage, but nothing's gonna be expanded to that. There was another question. Oh, parking, yes. There's 8 parking spots. I've seen 10 cars parked on there because we have a large family, but essentially 8 parking spots, so plenty of parking. On that road, there are, I believe, 3 or 4 other multi-unit residences. There's also a 8 and a 12-unit apartment building and multiple 4-unit apartment buildings. So it is pretty common for that area.
Thank you.
And for the record, there was another message just saying that she's not against it in
No,
any way,
yeah.
and she just wanted to answer, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Okay, well, thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, just to bring this to a close for the evening, the explanation of the process. In order to process a discretionary use, the following steps are required. 1, the discretionary use is read at a public meeting. That's what happened this evening. 2, the planning board reviews the application and prepares a recommendation to council. That will happen on Wednesday, September 15th at noon. 4th. I might have got the Thursday or the 4th. Wednesday, September 14th at noon. That's what happens when you're debating dates. 3, the discretionary use is read to be adopted by council. The resolution will be either carried or defeated by a vote of council. And that will happen at our regular monthly meeting on September 19th. Please note that in accordance with section 5.20 of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, any person who is dissatisfied by a decision of council in respect to the administration of this bylaw may appeal council's decision within 21 days to the Island Regulatory and Appeals Commission, IRAC. And that, your worship, unless there's further questions or concerns, wraps up public meeting number 2.
Thank you very much, and that meeting date you mentioned, it's open to the public, and
Yeah.
all our meetings now are on YouTube, so you'll be able to go home tonight and watch this one over again if you don't remember it. But anyway,
If it was, yeah, probably exciting enough the first time.
no, but if you want to check times and dates and what was said and what wasn't said sort of thing, that's one advantage of having the meetings recorded.
And I believe there's another unrelated resolution, your worship, to wrap up.
Thank you. Councillor, or Deputy Mayor McColeman, the floor is yours. Thank you. Oh, sorry, it's Councillor Camp.
I have a resolution, if I can get it out. Resolution COS 22-111, moved by myself, Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor McColeman. The resolution was tenders, whereas tenders were called for Summerside, some bank, berm, and driveway tender. I know I grew up out in the country and a berm was a ditch when I was a kid. Anyway, berm, driveway, and tender, whereas the city of Summerside received 2 tender bids in good order, and they are as follows. First firm was JBM Earthworks, $315.35. AJL Construction, $416,472.50. Be it resolved, the city of Summerside awards the Summerside Sunband berm and driveway tender to JBM Earthworks for the value of $320,515.35. This bears the recommendation of the committee and of electrical services.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Campbell and seconded by Deputy Mayor McCollum. You've all heard the resolution. Any questions on the resolution? All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Motion carried unanimously. So, I believe we've gotten to the end of the agenda. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Herlick on the controls will take a second to have us disconnected, and thank you all, and have a great long week.